Welcome to Natural Habitat Adventures Daily Dose of Nature. Today's presentation, Discover Ultimate Australia, is brought to you by NatHab Expedition Leader Matt Cornish. A little bit more about our presenter. Matt is a venomous snake and crocodile keeper, former police officer, remote first aid instructor, and nature tour guide who co-founded a wildlife education enterprise for youth across far North Queensland with his wife, Jody. As a self-taught wildlife photographer, he's captured images in extraordinary locations, including the Amazon, Borneo, Rwanda, Egypt, the Komodo Islands, and Peru. Matt serves as a NatHab expedition leader, combining his expertise in wildlife handling, law enforcement, emergency medicine, and international photography experience to guide travelers through Australia's wilderness. Thank you so much for being here today, Matt. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Brooke, and good morning, g'day from Australia. It is nice and early here. It's roughly 5 a.m., which is super exciting, but I've got the whole day ahead of me. And welcome to the Know Before You Go for Ultimate Australia. People tuning in may be interested in taking this tour, or you may be booked in. You may be coming over to Australia in less than a month's time to start this trip. And this presentation is designed to walk through the tour, through the trip, and also start talking about some of the nuts and bolts, some of the things that might be sitting on your mind. Throughout the presentation, you probably will have questions. So feel free to submit those questions, but you might find some of those questions might be answered by the end. I'll ensure to save enough time at the end to get through some of those pertinent questions and make sure everyone's feeling confident and comfortable before your adventure to the land down under. Brooke's already done a fantastic introduction, and I appreciate that, but this is me. My camera is not on today, and most certainly because I live in the middle of a rainforest with no internet, so I have to jump up nice and early and head into my local town where the internet is strong, and then I present from my vehicle. So I live in the far north Queensland rainforest, right up the northeastern part of Australia. In fact, I live in the place where the Ultimate Australia Tour begins, in far north Queensland, just inland from Cairns up in the mountains, in the Atherton Tablelands. I'm an expedition leader and photo guide, and I've also got roughly 20 years of experience working with wildlife. So from zookeeping to wildlife education, to nature photography, tour guiding and expedition leading. Got a big smile on my chin here. I think we're just experienced an echidna, a fantastic up close personal encounter. I think from memory, that smile was on my face for about a week after that moment. So today's presentation will cover, as I said, the itinerary. So we'll be diving into what is Australia, the land down under. We'll go through the itinerary. I've included with the itinerary a lot of amazing wildlife encounters that we've had over the time, and also some photos of the accommodation. And then after that exciting journey, we'll go through the nuts and bolts of the tour and obviously finish up with some questions. The Ultimate Australia Tour goes from far north Queensland to Lady Elliot Island, to Tasmania, the Flinders Ranges and Kangaroo Island. This image in the background is actually from the Flinders Ranges. This tree called the Casno tree. And if you're going to join us on the Ultimate Australia, this tree has a story to tell. It's certainly a symbolism of resilience in the harsh Australian outback. You're probably thinking to yourself, where are these places? I've got no idea what you're talking about, Matt. Well, this is it. This is the land down under. This is Australia. And this just gives you a little bit of a small view of what the country's like. It's broken up into all these different states. We actually travel across a few different states. We travel from Queensland down to Tasmania and into South Australia on the Ultimate, really targeting a huge diversity of landscapes that we're going to be experiencing throughout the trip. It truly is the ultimate Australia trip due to the fact that we experience so much diversity in habitat, wildlife and culture. This is the same country, but that's a bit of an interesting looking image. This is actually a really interesting but important image that we have now in Australia. This is the Indigenous map. So the image beforehand has all the states and territories that we have in Australia. But before they were turned into states and territories, they were Indigenous nations. And a lot of Indigenous people lived in different parts of Australia and worked with the land and the wildlife. And obviously, we try to represent those nations as best as we can. It was approximately 800 different Indigenous dialects in Australia and over 200 different Indigenous nations. It's pretty phenomenal. Just to give you a little bit of a view, though, it is a big country. I chat to many international tourists that come over, and I don't quite realise how big Australia is. And this is very, very important to remember. We've overlaid Australia onto the states here to give you a little bit of a scale. But this is important to remember when we come to travelling through Australia. Sometimes the travel distances can be quite long, and that's because Australia truly is massive. We'll dive into the travel elements a little bit later on in the presentation. And our final map is just a little bit of an explanation of exactly where we are going in this country. You'll notice up the very top right-hand side rather, on the east coast, we've got Cairns and the Daintree rainforest, which is very close by. We travel all the way down to Brisbane. We base ourselves in Brisbane and travel out to the Great Barrier Reef, Lady Elliot Island. And then we take a big flight all the way down from Brisbane to Hobart, which is Tasmania, the capital of. We experience a few different locations in Tasmania before flying again to the Outback, the middle of Australia, the Flinders Ranges. And then as we finish up our time in the Flinders Ranges, we fly down to Kangaroo Island, which is just off the coast of Adelaide. We actually finish our tour in Adelaide, the capital city of South Australia. So let's dive into the itinerary. This is the fun part where we get to look at awesome images of cool animals and get you all pumped up and excited, whether you're joining us already or you've got your mind in the question mode, should I come over? Well, hopefully this covers off for you. Part one, far north Queensland, the Daintree National Park and the Atherton Tablelands. Now, I know this is not an interactive webinar at this stage, but I want you to think in your head, what on earth is that animal? That is a very, very weird looking animal. That is actually a tree kangaroo, the Lumholtz tree kangaroo. So yes, our kangaroos do climb trees. Sometimes we have two different types of kangaroos that can climb trees, and this is one of them, the Lumholtz tree kangaroo. Actually captured this image in the Atherton Tablelands, an area in which you'll be exploring. In fact, this was captured on one of the walks that you'll be looking for them on. I must admit, though, they are incredibly elusive, very, very hard to find. I live in this area where the tree kangaroos are, and even I struggle to find them at times. So please, we do need to be mindful that these animals can be very, very hard to find, but you never know. Beautiful image of the Daintree National Park. The Daintree is actually the world's oldest continually surviving rainforest. And we have water flowing through streams all year round, a very, very lush and green, gorgeous part of the world. When we're staying in far north Queensland, we stay in two different locations. So we spend a couple of nights in the Atherton Tablelands, and we spend one night up in the Daintree National Park. Now, both of the accommodations are incredibly immersive accommodations. They're fantastic accommodations, but we try to give you that rainforest feel. And as you can see, this is even just the reception building at a location in the Atherton Tablelands called Chambers Wildlife Lodge. Now, this is where we'll be staying for a portion of our time in far north Queensland, but the rainforest truly does come up to our rooms, and it gives you an incredibly intimate encounter, even when we're not out running around looking for wildlife. Sometimes the wildlife can be right near our rooms. Wildlife like the Lumholtz tree kangaroo, and an animal that we will be searching for in a few different sections of the Ultimate Australia trip is this guy, the platypus. Now, don't let this image confuse you. Some people think it's the size of a beaver. I'm going to get your head in the right frame of mind to experience these animals. They are small. You're probably looking around about 12 inches if you come across a platypus in far north Queensland. That's a big one. They are quite small creatures, very secretive and very, very shy. And of course, the jewel of the far north Queensland rainforest, the southern cassowary. Now, this image doesn't portray the animal as whole, but this is what they classify as the world's most dangerous bird, but not statistically speaking. This is a large ratite species, so a large flightless bird, gorgeous colors and a very strong presence, and they wander out throughout the rainforest of far north Queensland. While we're in our time in far north Queensland, we actually have a fantastic Indigenous experience. We visit a place called the Mossman Gorge. Now, this is part of the Southern Daintree. If you have a look at the expressions of my guests, even they are overwhelmed by how crazy this moment was. But we meet with some of the incredible tour guides, Indigenous guides, that are really custodians to the land here, and they showcase their region. And they take us on a journey of their story and their connection with the land. One of my favourite parts of exploring the Daintree in far north Queensland is doing a cruise along the Daintree River, where we have a fantastic opportunity to see lots of bird life, including this stunning azure kingfisher, striking colours on the hunt. We have a few different kingfisher species here and a few different birds that like to hang around the edge of the river, hunting for small shrimp and fish. And this guy was certainly one of them. Hunting bigger fish is the king of the river. We have an opportunity in far north Queensland to experience the saltwater crocodile, or also known as the estuarine crocodile, the biggest crocodilian species on Earth. The largest ever saltwater crocodile recorded was just over 20 foot. It's incredible. Large animals. We're in a safe place. We're on a boat exploring the river system, but this is an experience that you certainly won't forget, cruising along looking for the king. After our time in far north Queensland, we will be taking a commercial flight down to Brisbane. So this is approximately a 2-hour flight. When we arrive in Brisbane, we settle into our accommodation for the night. The following day, we then take a small chartered flight to Lady Elliot Island. Now, my experience from going here a few times is the flight time can change, so I'm not going to give you firm details on that because it is a scenic flight. And based on the weather at the time, sometimes the pilots are really keen to give you a beautiful view of the Queensland coastline as they're heading off towards the island. So sometimes this flight can change in time. You're probably looking about an hour, hour and a half in a very small, comfortable plane. You can see on the image on the left-hand side, that is Lady Elliot Island. It's quite small. It's very, very intimate. There's a big light green patch straight through the middle. That's actually the runway. So the plane lands on the island on a grassy runway, and then we can enjoy the facilities there. Got one of our beautiful local bird species here. It's actually a bird rookery, so you get a lot of different species come in. This is a noddy, a brown noddy. You will be very, very accustomed to birds. There is quite a fair few different shorebirds and seabirds that use this island as home. Now, we've traded the rainforest for the reef. We're in a southern Great Barrier Reef. The coral dynamics are phenomenal. The wildlife encounters here are incredible, and our accommodation is perfect. We're in an eco retreat, so there is a lot of limited facilities. To give you an example, there is no air conditioning at Lady Elliot Island, but what it does is it has beautiful ventilated rooms with fans. It's absolutely very comfortable. But what it does is it also gives you an intimate experience with the reef. You can walk out of your room and not too far away, you are walking on the beach and into the water is the Great Barrier Reef. It's a place like no other. Sometimes when we're on Lady Elliot Island, we're here for a few nights. Some people like to kick back, relax. It is a very long tour. The Ultimate Australia trip is 21 days in total. So because of that, some people like to kick back, relax. So the way we do our itinerary in Lady Elliot Island is every day we have a whole lot of optional activities that people can come in and out and join where they like. So some people might be more adventurous, looking to do everything. Some people might be looking to take a back step and just relax, refresh, and soak it up. I've had guests previously that come to Lady Elliot Island with no interest in swimming, and that's perfectly fine. And they have thoroughly enjoyed themselves. There's plenty of activities to do on the island on foot And there's also plenty of opportunities to go out on a boat and look through a glass bottom. So we do glass bottom boat tours while we're out there as well. But for those that are interested in swimming, it's perfect. We do snorkeling activities, but also there's the opportunity if you wanted to and you are experienced in scuba diving, you can obviously opt in for some extras onto your tour and take that experience on. And heck, we've got the whitest sand anywhere in the world. We have to make sure we enjoy it. So your expedition leaders are very well versed in relaxation and soaking up the sunset every now and then. So this particular photo was on our last ultimate tour I did. We sat on the beach, soaked up the beautiful afternoon sunset, and we have a couple of beers and maybe a little cheese board as well to celebrate. Another really important feature of Lady Elliot Island, it is actually a turtle nesting location. Loggerhead turtles and green sea turtles lay their eggs on the island. So the Ultimate Australia Tour, it's conducted at certain points of the year where it's either the last 3 months of the year or generally the second or third month of the year. So we do it around about October, November, December, and February and March, and sometimes into April. This tees up beautifully with different times of year, whether the turtles are laying their eggs or the eggs are hatching. So generally around October, November, we start to see the turtles laying their eggs, and then around about February, March, and January as well, they start to hatch. So depending on what time of year you're arriving, you may experience different encounters with these species. One of our beautiful noddy birds, who's actually set up his own poop nest. He poops that many times to stick all the twigs and sticks and leaves together, create his little nest. But another really important part of Lady Elliot Island is their interpretation. Their education is what's the paramount part of Lady Elliot Island. Because it's an eco retreat, a lot of the staff that actually come and stay there, they might do a deployment, they might do 6 months, they might do 5 years. But this is a time when they can come over and they can learn their trade and master their trade. We're very fortunate on Lady Elliot Island. We have some of the most experienced and knowledgeable reef tour guides anywhere in Australia. In Australia, we have a system called Master Reef Guide, and this is the highest level of a tour guide in the Great Barrier Reef you can have. And we're fortunate enough at Lady Elliot Island to have several Master Reef Guides. The guides over there, they conduct presentations. They're on every day at different times. And we have updates on the turtle season, which you can see the presentation that's on today. And they give everyone running commentary on the diversity of the island and how the island is changing with wildlife, and make sure that everyone learns as much as they can, but gets the most out of their experience. So from Lady Elliot Island, we fly back to Brisbane on that beautiful scenic flight, stay a night. The next day, we take a commercial flight from Brisbane down to Tasmania. This flight from memory is roughly about 2.5, maybe 3 hours in a commercial plane. The reason I say maybe is on the east coast of Australia, we get huge weather systems and big winds. And depending on the wind movement, can determine the time of your flight. So if you get a tailwind, it can actually cut off around half an hour of your flight time at times. So that's why I'm a little bit vague with some of our flight times. So once we finished up on the Great Barrier Reef, we head to Tasmania. The land of stories is what I call it. We spend several nights here. We stay at Cradle Mountain National Park and Mount Field National Park. And we get to meet this big old furry fella. This is the bare-nosed wombat. In the image on the left-hand side, Cradle Mountain, one of the geological wonders of Australia. So, where is Tasmania? Well, it's this island that's off the bottom of Australia. It's on the east coast underneath it. It's a little bit similar in location if you're looking on the globe to maybe where New Zealand is. New Zealand is to the east of Tasmania, so very similar weather patterns to areas of New Zealand. When we arrive in Tasmania, we go and visit a place called the Bonorong Wildlife Sanctuary. And I've talked about this place till I'm blue in the face, and I always use this image. So I don't like to give away too many secrets about what you may experience, but I think seeing the facial expressions of some of our guests when they get to meet some of the animals at the wildlife sanctuary is breathtaking. Now, it's not like any other wildlife sanctuary. They are the key wildlife rescue and rehabilitation unit for the island of Tasmania. So they're constantly rescuing animals. They have their own veterinary surgery there, bringing those animals back to health and releasing them if they can. But we're going to meet some of the characters there, and you'll see why we're pulling these amazing faces. Now, we're very fortunate we have actually obtained different accommodation this season for the Ultimate Australia trip. Previously, we stayed in a tented safari style setup, but now we're actually got these beautiful new eco lodges right in the heart of Mountfield National Park. Now, the location of where these lodges puts us right in the action. Previously, we would have to drive probably around about half an hour or so to get to these locations, to get to Mountfield National Park. But now we've centered ourselves right in the heart of it to cut down on driving time and to increase our wildlife interactions. I'm actually heading down to Tasmania tomorrow, and I'm going to go check out some of these facilities, and I'm very much looking forward to it. It all looks absolutely incredible. And again, keeps you right in the heart of the action. Why are we in the heart of the action? Well, we're looking for these guys, another one of our iconic Australian animals. In fact, he's a monitory, just like the platypus. This is the short-beaked echidna. Echidna. This is a very spiky little character, but a very, very ancient creature. And we can, if we're very fortunate, see them venturing around at different times in the Ultimate Australia trip. I love this photo because it represents how intimate some of the encounters we've had over the time. You can spend weeks on end not seeing an echidna, and then all of a sudden one will pop up in the most random location. And Mountfield National Park is one of the spots that we'll certainly be looking for them. But it's not all about echidnas. We've got some beautiful temperate style rainforests that we can explore as well. This is one of the beautiful rainforest waterfalls of Mountfield National Park. The reason I've included this image is actually taken on a mobile phone. So it doesn't matter what kind of camera you've got, you can capture something nice. Our expedition leaders are well versed in mobile phone photography, and they can help you get these beautiful silky images where the water is running smooth on an Apple iPhone. Or if you've got a different phone, we can help you use those settings as well. But certainly, we're going to help you out to get crazy shots, even if you don't have a big flash camera. One of the experiences we do in Tasmania is actually kayaking. And some people I've noticed when they're reading up on the itinerary, this is something that might cause a little bit of concern to them. They might be a little bit worried about the physical requirements for kayaking. It is very, very easy going. There's a few different locations that we use depending on the weather at the time of year and depending on the water flow. We use lakes or a river, and it is very, very comfortable and very, very straightforward. It's not tedious physically. It's actually quite a luxurious experience. We call it paddling with the platypus. Now, we're hoping that you would have a very intimate platypus encounter in different parts of Australia, but this is a time that we can get out in the water and see a different vantage point to the life of the platypus. We can get down onto the water surface and cruise along searching for them. We have a couple of beautiful local guides that are fantastic characters, and they are very, very well versed in the water systems and kayaking to make sure we have the most comfortable, safe, and intimate experience while we're out in the water. After we've enjoyed some time in Mountfield and checking out some hopefully platypus and echidnas, we'll continue our journey north on the island of Tasmania up to a place called Cradle Mountain. Now, I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about Cradle Mountain later on because this is the place where the weather can change very suddenly and it can be pretty extreme. This is a beautiful day. This is one of the lodges that we stay at. It's called Cradle Mountain Lodge, as the name would suggest. It's pretty appropriately named. And this is one of the beautiful lakes on the property, looking at the reception and restaurant area. In fact, I think there is a platypus somewhere. Probably in this photo, there's a dot somewhere. That might be a platypus because I know there's one that likes to live in there. And that is Cradle Mountain. Luckily, I've got one of my amazing previous guests who's pointing it out for me in case you miss it. but this is one of the geological wonders, as I mentioned earlier, an astonishing place to visit. This is a place where we have the opportunity to do a lot more walks. We actually spent 3 nights in Cradle Mountain, and it's designed that way so we have a day purely for additional activities. So we have a pretty busy itinerary on the tour, 21 days of busyness. We try to incorporate a lot of flexibility, potential downtime for some or optional activities for others. And one of our days in Cradle Mountain is an option to go for walks, extended walks. The biggest walk, and again, I'll get to physical requirements later on, but the biggest walk you could possibly do would be roughly around about the 3 hour mark. But again, we'll have a chat about that later on. And yes, this is one of the places it can snow. So yes, we saw some beautiful images of sunshine and glistening water, but it can snow. And this isn't a season thing. Don't think about, oh, when have I booked my ultimate trip? Is it going to snow? This was the middle of summer. Now, I'm very excited in this image because for me, I don't see snow very often. In fact, at this point in time, I believe that was probably the second or third time I'd seen snow. So I was on cloud nine. Unfortunately, all my guests lived in snowy areas, so they just thought I was a lunatic. But I was running around. I made my first ever snowman. Oh, it was the time of my life. And as you can see, the snow wasn't even sticking very well to the ground. But certainly it can snow. Overnight, one time we had a couple of inches of snow, so it can snow at different times of the year. As I mentioned, I'm heading down to Tasmania tomorrow with 2 other expedition leaders, and it's forecasted snow. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Since this photo has been taken, I have been to the Yellowstone and the Tetons, and there was a lot of snow. So I've seen my fair share of snow now. I think I'll be able to contain myself next time. And Cradle Mountain is one of the best places to see these guys. This is an animal that I truly believe you will fall in love with. The wombat. He's a very little fella. There's a marsupial that lives underground and comes out to graze on grasses. Now, depending on the weather, your expedition leader will weigh up different options, but they will make sure you have beautiful encounters of this species, the bare-nosed wombat. And he will be your friend eventually in the end. Your heart will melt when you see one. One of the other activities that we undertake in Cradle Mountain is learning about the devil, the Tasmanian devil. Now, I haven't incorporated any photos in here. I like to keep it a little more mysterious, but if you look very, very carefully on the left-hand side, this gentleman is holding something. He is holding a Tasmanian devil joey. So Tasmania, oh, and look at the snow outside in that photo too. That was the day I built the snowman, I'm sure of it. But anyway, this facility, Devils at Cradle, is what it's called. And they're a conservation organisation focusing on trying to protect this species. Now, without diving too deep into it, Tasmania devils have been under threat from a facial tumour disease. So their population numbers have decreased over time. And as such, conservation organisations have stepped up to help out. You're going to learn a lot about this animal, so I'm not going to dive too deep into that. But you will have intimate encounters with devils in your time in Cradle Mountain. The good devils, not the scary ones. And if you're a budding photographer, there's plenty of photographic opportunities as well. So Cradle Mountain is a very, very unpredictable weather place, depending on the different times of year, but also time of day. We say if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. It truly is like that. But this particular day, very overcast and misty, and you can have some beautiful, moody photographic opportunities. As a photographer myself, I'm always looking at these opportunities, but obviously this is not a photographic trip. But if you're a photographer, by all means, you'll be having amazing opportunities along the way. Anyway, let's leave Tasmania. Let's jump on a plane, a private chartered flight, roughly about an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on the wind, straight over to the Outback. And let's go looking for kangaroos and red dirt. So we're going to be experiencing the Australian Outback, but also indigenous petroglyphs. Now, the first time I went to the Flinders Ranges, I was a bit confused. Okay, indigenous petroglyphs. I'm interested to see about this. Wow, what an experience. You will be diving very, very deep into the heart of the Australian Indigenous culture. You'll be meeting with some local Indigenous guides and talking about their stories, but also giving evidence of some of the carvings in the rock that has occurred over time and some of the storytelling that has taken place and continues to take place today. Unbelievable. We've got this little red kangaroo on the right-hand side. He's actually a youngster, and he was very, very confident. He was hanging out, checking us out, wondering what we're up to. Managed to have a really nice encounter with this species. You will hopefully be seeing plenty of kangaroos and actually wallaroos. If you've never heard of a wallaroo, you'll learn all about that when you come to Australia. Just like everywhere else, our accommodation is very comfortable. We actually have self-contained, it's almost like a house in the middle of the outback. Gorgeous views looking over the fantastic red landscape. The sun sets here and the sun rises. Unbelievable. It's a really cool place because if you get a big moon, it really adds to the features of the landscape. You see this huge moon moving across the horizon with these rocks. But if you don't have a moon, you'll have gorgeous night skies. This is a place, and a certain place in Tasmania as well, oh, and Lady Elliot Island, where the light pollution is so low that you can see unbelievable stars throughout the night sky. So that's definitely an experience you'll have with your expedition leaders, weather depending, of course, and moon phase depending, but hopefully you'll be able to see some incredible southern hemisphere lights. Gorgeous wallaroo here, common wallaroo. Joey drinking out of the pouch still. Gorgeous casino tree that we spoke about earlier, the harshness of the landscape and the survivability of all life. One of the key animals that we want to look for in the Flinders Ranges is an animal that has stolen a big chunk of my heart as well. I don't know if I've got any heart left. I think I've given it out to so many different places and animals. But this is the yellow-footed rock wallaby. Now, if you look at this image from a long way away, it's very hard to see where the wallaby is, but when you really tune your eyes in, you can see it. The camouflage is like nothing else. We experience different parts of the Flinders Ranges where we can actually drive through a gorge, jump out and look at this amazing rock face. And it's almost like, where's Wally? It's where is the yellow-footed rock wallaby? The camouflage is incredible. Once you get your eye in, you'll start to see plenty of them. And this is an animal that I'm very much looking forward to showcasing for everyone that comes and joins us in the Ultimate Australia experience. And seeing their mobility across rocks, unbelievable. But we do treat you pretty well out there. We have a lot of gorgeous field meals. We have a really nice early start to the morning one day. I think this was where we did breakfast in the field, tea, coffee, some treats and snacks, and made sure that we enjoyed the landscape at all different times of the day. And this is Christian. He's one of our Indigenous guides that we utilize in the Flinders Ranges. An absolutely phenomenal storyteller and one of the best guides that I have met in Australia. He takes you on a journey through his culture like nothing I've ever seen before. And I'm looking forward to you meeting him. He's incredible. Eventually, it's going to be time to leave the outback and head to our last destination, Kangaroo Island. Got some amazing sea-style landscapes here. Gorgeous rocks covered in orange lichen, beautiful green vegetation growing throughout. And we got this furry bugger on the right-hand side, chilling out, not doing a whole lot. Obviously, one of the big targets for a lot of travelers is the koala. This youngster was a pretty chilled character. He found his fork in the tree. He sat back relaxed like he's in a hammock, and he didn't do a whole lot. But we'll be experiencing a few different parts of Kangaroo Island, including Flinders Chase National Park. Our accommodation, we actually stay in a place called American River, believe it or not. And we stay in this incredible place that overlooks the gorgeous river. This is what we call the River Suites. So we've got these beautiful rooms. You can see just the roof of it if you look carefully in the image there. The rooms are situated down nice and low, where we have a balcony. I'll show you the rooms a little bit later. We've got the pool here. It is generally pretty chilly, but you never know, it might get some usage. And on the left-hand side is the restaurant area. So everywhere you go at this property has beautiful views. We actually dine at the restaurant at our accommodation every night while we're in Kangaroo Island. And this is fantastic due to the fact that we spend a lot of time of the day in the field. We come back, we freshen up, we come and have dinner, and the owners of the property, we've got an amazing host in Dia, and Nico, her husband, is a phenomenal chef. I really look forward to going there. The food is just unbelievable. But anyway, I won't get caught up on that. These are the rooms. So they are nice and comfortable, very modern. They've been renovated very recently, and there is a balcony outside that every room has access to, and you can go out there and enjoy the beautiful views. It's actually a very, very good bird watching location in the afternoon and the morning. We have a lot of beautiful local bird species that fly straight past our room and sometimes land in the flowering plants for a feed. And yes, we will be out there looking for these sleepy fellas, the koala. They truly can be in most places on the island. So we'll be traveling along and keeping our eyes peeled. I'll never forget, and it's actually guide fuel the first time my guests see their koala for the first time. It's everyone's first koala. The reactions are just amazing. So that is fuel for a guide, seeing our guests enjoy these animals for the first time. But hopefully we'll have amazing encounters. Again, weather dependent determines the behavior of the koala. But I found on hot days, the koalas will come down the tree out of the top, come into these branches and lower their arms down like this image. And they're actually collecting the breeze on their wrists to cool themselves down. So sometimes on a warm day, we can have really fantastic opportunities to see these guys. And another place that we visit is the Seal Bay Conservation Park. We see Australian sea lions having a rest. Sometimes there's a lot of socialization between them, and sometimes they're chilling out. But this is a great opportunity for us to come down to the beach with our local guides and have an encounter with these animals from a safe distance, of course. Being a conservation tour, we do focus on education and meeting different conservation organisations or individuals in the field. And this particular day, we're meeting with Mike and his partner Peggy. Now, Mike and Peggy have dedicated their life to echidna research. So they do a fantastic presentation in the field about echidnas and some of the work they've done with other animals as well. So the best part about this tour is we're meeting passionate individuals in the field who are doing great things for conservation. But we're also supporting not only conservation organisations, but small business along the way. And it's a tour that creates a lot of meaning and connection between the travellers and the people that we're visiting, which is fantastic. And yes, one of the guests hijacked my phone this day. We're doing a bit of a seafood barbecue. Don't worry if you don't eat seafood, there's always alternatives available. But this was an opportunity where we had a picnic style seafood barbecue in the bush. And I think from memory, there was a koala just outside of our lunch area too. So that, my friends, is the itinerary. I've tried to cruise through that as comfortably as I can. After our time in Kangaroo Island, we fly on a chartered flight or commercial airline to Adelaide. And from here, we obviously finish up our trip. But I'm going to dive into some of the nuts and bolts of the trip. Just this is probably the areas where some people might have questions. Now, travel. This particular time, I remember sitting up the front of the pilot, and I had some Tim Tams up on the dash. If you don't know what a Tim Tam is, you will find out. And it's a way in which we always try to look after our local friends, especially pilots. They've got a pretty important job. So we fuel them full of snacks when we're traveling along. So this is travel. There's airport transfers pre and post trip included. So this will obviously transport you to a hotel in Adelaide if you're staying there after the trip. But also, when you arrive, you'll be picked up from the airport in Cairns and transported to the hotel. So there is transfers pre and post trip included. We have two commercial flights, which is Cairns to Brisbane, and then later on Brisbane to Hobart. These are big flights, so we have to use commercial airlines. And we use three private chartered flights, not including the Lady Elliot flights. So, and these are obviously small, intimate encounters where it's just us. On the Lady Elliot Island flights, generally our group is split over two small aeroplanes. And sometimes there's workers on there as well because they do shifts coming backwards and forwards from the mainland. We have two minibus style vehicles or three four-wheel drive vehicles at each location. So, as you've established, the Ultimate Australia Experience is a 5-part series. So, we're visiting 5 major locations: Far North Queensland, Lady Elliot Island, Tasmania, the Flinders Ranges, and Kangaroo Island. Each time we go there, we have local guides that are drivers for us, and they provide us some really interesting local storytelling, which obviously enhances our experience and connection with the areas. Each location, we split up into 2 mini bus style vehicles, or in the Outback, sometimes we have a couple of 4-wheel drive vehicles to get in and out of some of the difficult terrain. Now, when we do this, we split the group up into comfortable vehicles, so there's generally enough room for you to have your day bag with you in the car. Sometimes the 4-wheel drive vehicles, the space is a little bit restricted, but everywhere else, uh, we could all fit in one bus, don't get me wrong, but we split us up into 2 buses to make sure everyone's comfortable, everyone has a window seat, and they have their day bag with them and plenty of space. Always plenty of room in the vehicle for your day bag and camera gear. The only times it's a little bit tight sometimes is in the 4-wheel drive style vehicles, but that is purely so we can access hard to reach areas. There is luggage restrictions that do apply. You will have to dive into your pre-departure briefing for more information. But just to give you a very, very basic overview, you'd be able to have 2 bags. So one is like a carry-on style day bag, and one is required for flights, which is a checked bag. So for your carry-on, we have restrictions of 15 pounds per person. And for your check-in bag, we're looking at 40 pounds. So I know it's very, very difficult to pack for a trip like this. Don't get me wrong. You've got a lot of diversity of landscapes. You've got a lot of different clothing that you might need, but we do have laundry facilities that I'll talk about very shortly. So I understand it's hard to pack, but if we can stick to those restrictions, that would be fantastic. Due to the fact that we use small chartered flights, that's when those restrictions are a bit of a thing. And we do weigh your bags on tour. So just keep that in mind as well, please. When we head over to Lady Elliot Island, we base ourselves in Brisbane, and the expedition leader will hand out duffel bags, and there's even bigger restrictions for our time in Lady Elliot Island. So this is a time when your expedition leader will say, hey guys, you need to fit this many pounds into this bag. Don't bring anything excessive. So obviously Lady Elliot Island's going to be comfortable. You wouldn't need a big fleece jacket. You wouldn't need all the cold things you might need for Tasmania. So we could just take some things that will have a comfortable little holiday style trip there. This is where I'd usually take flip-flops, my camera, swimmers, and a hat. That's pretty much it. So yeah, we really cut back for that small time. But then all of our luggage that we've left behind would still be in Brisbane for us, back in our room when we arrive. Let's dive into the weather. This is not the most glorious photo, I must admit, but an experience that we won't forget. Uh, this was a rainy old day. This was in Crater Mountain. But as I have mentioned, our weather patterns can change a lot throughout the trip. So in far north Queensland, we can have quite warm temperatures, particularly towards the end of and the start of the year. That is our summer months. So remember, it's the opposite to the States. Our summer is at the end of the year, and our winter months are obviously in the middle of the year. So really, in far north Queensland, it can be quite warm. It can get around about 90 to 95 Fahrenheit in far north Queensland. The humidity can be quite shocking for some people if they haven't experienced it before. Lady Elliot Island is very similar, but a bit cooler. When we get to Tasmania, that it can be really hot or really cold, or it can be really dry, really wet. It really does depend. So I always encourage people to bring rain gear with them, and also a fleece style jacket. You'll notice in the image on the left-hand side, I'm crouching down, celebrating the snow. It's that photo again. I've got this down style fleece jacket, I guess you could call it. I wear that in most places around Southern Australia, so Kangaroo Island and Tasmania. And then I always have my rain jacket I could put over the top when I'm in Tasmania. Or I could just wear the rain jacket with, suitable clothing underneath in far north Queensland without the need for warmth. Generally, because of this, we have to expect the unexpected. It can get as high as 100 and it can get as low as 25. They are the extremes. Expect sunshine, rain, and snow, sometimes all in one day. It's a very, very hard place to judge what the weather's going to be like. Throughout the tour, your expedition leader will keep you updated on the places we're heading to and the weather to expect and things to wear for the day. So you'll be constantly updated throughout. Food and laundry, these are probably the two most important things. Being full of food and having clean clothes. Well, there is laundry facilities at each major part of the trip. So not every single accommodation has it, but every stop where we have a major time. So, far north Queensland, Lady Elliot Island, Tasmania, Flinders Ranges, and Kangaroo Island. We do have laundry facilities at each of them. In Tasmania, we have it at Cradle Mountain. It's a self-use facility where they provide powder to us. In far north Queensland, at Chambers Wildlife Lodge, we can leave our laundry there one day and the staff there will wash it. Lady Elliot Island has facilities where you can do it yourself. Flinders Ranges, they have facilities you can do it yourself. And in Kangaroo Island, we have the option of passing over some laundry for our host to wash for us, which will be included in the trip, one load per person. Uh, the dietaries are received from each person pre-trip when you've registered for the trip, and all of that is taken into account. The expedition leader's job is to monitor that, adjust dietaries throughout the trip. Maybe you might want to change your dietaries. That's fine. We're very, very flexible. And your dietaries are provided to each dining location to make sure that, if you are gluten intolerant or dairy intolerant, or you're diabetic, or you're a vegetarian or a pescatarian, all of this is taken into account, and we try to provide you the best possible food in each location to suit. Now, Australian cuisine is very, very interesting. It's a modern country, so don't expect anything too, ridiculous, too difficult to navigate through. But we do have an extremely broad culinary experiences. To give you an example, on Kangaroo Island, they're very proud of their seafood, so we can have some amazing different seafood there. And in far north Queensland, you might be able to try some local indigenous flavors in some of the meals. Uh, and when we do our meals, there's a combination between pre-orders, fixed menus, and order as you go. Now, pre-orders, this can get quite tedious. I apologize in well and truly in advance, but your expedition leader or your local guides will assist you in showing you a menu describing the food, and they'll be placing that order ahead of time. Generally, this is designed when we're visiting a small location, and it gives them more time to prepare for our meals, or it's time when we want to arrive, eat, and go. The fixed menus are in places where the availability of food is a little bit limited, but they want to provide you with a culinary experience that's local. So they'll get your dietaries and they'll create a meal to suit your dietaries. And obviously that's part of a fixed menu. Order as you go, or we have buffet styles as well. So on Lady Elliot Island, our meals are on a buffet style, but sometimes you have the luxury of sitting down, reading the menu, and ordering on the spot. That does happen in the Flinders Ranges at times. You'll notice I've got a couple of iconic Australian things on the right-hand side. We've got the Hills Hoist, the old clothesline, Tim Tams, the most incredible treat you can imagine. If you're traveling with us, your expedition leader will be giving you these, I guarantee it. And if you're keen for it, you can try the infamous Vegemite, which all Australian children are fed on the regular to make sure we are well versed in it. But it is a staple of our dietary, and hopefully something you'll be willing to give a go. Alrighty, guys, we're getting there. Physical requirements. Now, the Ultimate Australia trip, as I mentioned at the start of this webinar, is the longest trip NatHat has. It is 21 days. It is big. There is no denying it's a busy and big trip. The physical requirements is graded as moderate, and you can see more details online or with your itinerary or your pre-departure briefing, where it describes in more detail what moderate is. But essentially, roughly 2 to 4 miles of walking each day. That's not all at the same time. Guests must be able to walk 2 miles unassisted to be able to enjoy the trip. Obviously, a lot of things are optional. The only things that aren't optional is when we're going from point A to point B. I mean, they're still optional as well if you want to stay on the trip, you're best. But otherwise, all the little activities are all optional. I've seen guests sometimes say, you know what, I'm going to sit out today and stay in the room and just relax. And that's perfectly fine as well. We want to make sure that you are well rested and comfortable to be able to enjoy this adventure together. There is longer walks available for those that are interested. And in the areas which are a little bit more physical, we provide walking poles. So any longer walk will be doing so. We're not going to be dragging the whole group over a very uneven terrain. Everything is very well accommodated for people with limited mobility, but certainly there is options available for those that are looking for a bit more of an adventurous or active experience. This is Nikki here. She's one of our fantastic expedition leaders looking over one of the gorgeous valleys here in Cradle Mountain National Park, Ronnie Creek. And she's probably trying to spot a wombat or two, I would suggest. Alrighty, probably the hardest thing in the entire world. What should I pack? When I said one checked bag, this cannot be your bag, please. Absolutely not. You will give your expedition leader a heart attack if you rock up looking like this. So, the nuts and bolts of it. One check bag and one carry-on that we talked about earlier. Carefully go through the packing list in your pre-departure documents, please. Soft-sided luggage restrictions do apply. For our small private chartered flights, they require soft-sided bags. I looked on the NatHab gear store. They have these Patagonia-style bags, I think like 70 litre. I've seen a lot of guests with these bags, and they are the perfect size. So if you have something similar to that, which is on the gear store and available, please have a look at that if you are interested, or a similar style to this. Cold weather gear, including long sleeve shirts. I generally wear a lot of long sleeve shirts due to the fact that it gives me the option of sun protection and cold protection, but also I can roll it off if it does get warm. So it's having clothing that you can get multiple different weather usages out of, I guess, is the way to go. Suitable hiking boots. I would definitely recommend bringing a pair of thick socks, just at least one pair. If you get a very cold day in Cradle Mountain, it might help, but certainly hiking boots would be preferable. Swimmers, definitely for Lady Elliot Island, you'll need swimmers. Just one or two pairs is fine. We do have laundry facilities on Lady Elliot Island, and each room you can hang up your swimmers to dry for the next day. Don't worry about bringing snorkel gear though. The island has plenty of snorkel gear available, and we at NatHab also have gear available as well. So I wouldn't worry about taking up too much of your luggage with that. Rain pants and rain jacket is a must, and certainly binoculars if you're looking for that more up close and personal experience with the wildlife. Some animals can be a bit of a distance away if you're into bird watching, for instance. So binoculars bring those animals a little bit closer. Oh, I take a breath. 53 minutes of talking about Ultimate Australia trip. I'm going to open the floor if anyone has any questions. This is a wombat, if you can see it, because it is very, very hard to find. I must admit he's playing hide and seek, but this is our wombat. He's trying his best to stay hidden behind this bush. But if anyone has any questions, I'll throw it over to you, Brooke. Let's go.
Wow, thank you so much, Matt. I feel prepared for this trip, and I wish I was going to meet you. As we've said every single time you and I get online together, I'm like, oh my gosh, Matt, I need to come see Australia with you and our amazing guide team. So I'm so excited for everybody who's joining and who's looking to join this amazing trip. So we do have some time for some Q&A. Matt and I chatted beforehand, and we're fine going over the hour if it means that we have lots and lots of questions that we need to get through. And if we don't get to your question, please reach out to the concierge team if you're already booked. And if you're looking to book this trip, our adventure specialists would also be more than happy to help. So let's dive in because we got a lot going on here, Matt.
Excellent. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. Could you elaborate on the bug situation? Should people bring insect repellent? Should they pre-spray their clothes? Should they bring bug nets? Could you just elaborate on that for a little bit?
Yes, certainly. And again, this webinar could go for 2 hours when it comes to giving you the prepared information. So that's why we've opened it up to questions. The bugs, some people think the bugs are like pterodactyls over here. That's not the case. There is certain areas where there might be some mosquitoes or maybe tiny little sand flies, but our local guides have bug spray available for you. Your expedition leader will update you and say, hey guys, this is a little bit buggy today, but not too extreme. And that could be a time you could prepare. Kangaroo Island, if they have a very, very dry spell, they can have flies. Now, if that is the case, I have seen one trip out of all the times I've been to Kangaroo Island. I've been over, I think, 12 times now. There was one trip that we had a fair few flies. We have fly nets available for our faces, and we can use some spray, but it's more so they're just a little bit annoying rather than a disease risk. There's certainly the chances of catching a communicable disease from an insect in Australia is very, very low. It's not like other countries, maybe throughout Asia or Africa, where that risk is high. In Australia, very low. It's more so a comfort thing, but we do have bug spray available at all the location sites to make sure that you have that with you. But if you prefer maybe like a natural roll-on or something like that that's compact, by all means, you can chuck that into your bag and then have that available.
Great. Thank you so much for that explanation. A few questions at Lady Elliot. Will there be any jellyfish that I have to worry about while snorkeling?
No, that's the short answer. The long answer is that Lady Elliot Island is in the southern Great Barrier Reef, so it's actually quite far south. It's almost the southern point of it. It's not considered to be tropical waters, I guess. The coral is very different to far north Queensland where I live. There's a lot more hard corals and soft corals. So we have jellyfish here in far north Queensland. We have the most toxic animal in the world that lives off the coast of far north Queensland called the box jellyfish. It is the most potent venom on Earth. We do not have that in Lady Elliot Island. We also have another jellyfish in far north Queensland called oh, I've got a little bit of a mind blank here. The irukandji, which can be fatal as well, not found in Lady Elliot Island. So because we're in the southern end, we're able to swim in a comfortable way without being mindful of some of these toxic jellyfish. They're restricted more so to the northern tropical areas of far north Queensland.
That's reassuring for everyone joining the trip. That's great to hear. I've been stung by jellyfish more than I would like to say, so I
Oh dear.
understand why that question was asked. So if somebody has or needs prescription level snorkel masks, are those provided or should those be brought?
For prescription level, I would bring them with you. We have standard snorkel masks. So yes, personally, I bring a snorkel mask with me because I travel there so often. I bring my own one. It's just a bit more of a heavier tint. It's easier for my eyes. But if you do have prescription or you're maybe a little bit particular about your snorkel mask, certainly bring that. But I wouldn't bring the snorkel tube itself, just the mask. That could be compact enough to carry with you.
Fantastic. And are wetsuits provided?
Yes, we do provide wetsuits there. Two reasons you might want to have a wetsuit is for increased buoyancy, but also if you're feeling a little bit cold. But certainly we have wetsuits available. They are for hire at Lady Elliot Island, but Natural Habitat Adventures will include all of that as part of your experience. You don't have to worry about additional expenses. So we will, when we arrive at the island, your expedition leaders will navigate you through the island and show you where everything is, and then they'll actually get you fitted with wetsuits, snorkels, and masks, and then they'll even have an optional, uh, essentially a snorkel lesson. We understand a lot of people have probably never snorkeled before, maybe a little bit hesitant or haven't snorkeled in a long time. Your expedition leaders will run a bit of a tutorial in the swimming pool. So what we do is on day one, we drop our bags, we see the facilities, we get sized up, get all sorted. We jump in the pool and have a bit of a training session in the pool for those that would feel more comfortable with that. And then the next day, that's when we go out and check it out on the reef. Just to give people a little bit more clarity and comfort when it comes to snorkeling on the Great Barrier Reef, there is places where you can walk off the beach and go snorkeling, and you could really stand up at any time as long as you're not stepping on a coral. You pick a sandy area, so it gives you that comfort that you're in an area that's relatively safe. Or for the people that are a little bit more experienced snorkelers, you can snorkel off the other side of the island, which is a little bit more deeper, probably has a little bit more biodiversity when it comes to our marine life, but also your expedition leaders will organise a glass bottom boat tour. So we jump on a boat with a glass bottom that we can view, we cruise out over some reef, we stop, and then we jump out from the boat and snorkel. And then we come back to the boat and come back to the land. So this is an opportunity to go snorkeling with your expedition leader, fellow travelers, but also master reef guides will be with us. They have floating devices like pool noodles. I'm not sure if that translates in America or not, but like a floating
Yes.
tube that assists with buoyancy. So we really take into account anyone's hesitancy or desire for adventure. We cater for every single person to make sure they have the ultimate experience.
That is so great to hear. Yes, enjoy Australia in all of its glory. Next, for our photographers, do you think it is worth it to bring a macro/portrait lens?
Really, really good because I didn't address anything about cameras because I knew this would come up in the question field. Uh, oh, really good question. It depends what your interests are. I mean, photography is so subjective, but if it comes to weight restrictions and you're looking for a telephoto, I would probably prioritize telephoto at a wide angle more than anything else. But each time I do the trip, if you come with me and you see I've got a macro lens, please don't say, "Hey, Matt, in your webinar, you said don't bring a macro lens." Because every time I do the trip, I rotate what lenses I take with me because obviously I'm doing it multiple times. I'm getting different experiences and different angles and different photos for our guests. But if you love your macro, by all means, in far north Queensland, there will be the opportunity to photograph some invertebrates like insects. In Tasmania, there'll be the opportunity to photograph fungus and orchids. In Lady Elliot Island, there may be the opportunity to photograph some crabs. We've got some beautiful crabs that live in shells that might be good for macro. For portrait, if you're looking at a 100 mil macro, which is probably the most common, or a 90 mil macro, this can work quite well with some of the animals that might be nice and close and confident. This could be good for an echidna encounter, maybe some of our wombats, maybe a cassowary if you're fortunate enough to see one. So yeah, it's got multiple uses of macro, but if you're thinking just for macro itself, it will be limited in its usage, but certainly if that's something that you enjoy and you would like to prioritize that lens, by all means. For the general photographer, though, I would prioritize a telephoto lens. Between 100 and 400 mils is probably the desired telephoto length. I've got a 100 to 500 that I use. Previously on trips, I've used a 70 to 200 with a 1.4 extender and a wide angle. So when I say wide angle, usually I have a 17 to 40 or a 16 to 35, and this is purely for some of the beautiful landscapes. The Casno tree in the Outback, maybe a starry night. It might be capturing some of the rainforest in the Daintree or the coastal cliffs of Kangaroo Island. But certainly macro, if you love it, but I would put a wide angle and a telephoto before those two, that one.
Fantastic advice. Thank you so much for that explanation. Next, could you elaborate a little bit further on the laundry? Do people need to bring their own laundry soap and any extra cash for that, or is it included? Or, yeah, a little bit more information on that. And how many
Yes,
days in
certainly.
between do people need to plan for that?
Your expedition leader will let you know if you need to do laundry. I'll tell you right now. That's the Australian humour coming out. We'll tell you if you're getting stinky. But no, you don't need to bring laundry detergent with you. Um, Generally, your expedition leader is well prepared with that stuff. So when I travel, we organise detergent at each location from the staff. So generally, like the reception area would have detergent. Your expedition leader will get that for all of the guests. And I usually bring some laundry sheets with me, so tiny little compact sheets. And if worst comes to worst, I can always hand them out to help out people. And your expedition leaders are all well versed in that kind of customer service as well. You do not need any money for the laundry. In far north Queensland, that is completely complimentary. They do it all for you. You don't have to do anything. On Lady Elliot Island, you do the laundry, but it's free. Um, in Tasmania, Cradle Mountain, it's free, but you do it yourself. In the Flinders Ranges, you'll have a washing machine in your room, which you can do it yourself, and there's detergent there. In Kangaroo Island, the host will do everything for you. I'm just thinking the longest period of time you would go without laundry would probably be 1, 2, 3, possibly 3 to 4 days max. 3 to 4 days max. And again, if you really needed to, worst case scenario, you could potentially just wash some vitals in one of the sinks of the room. But you talk to your expedition leader and they can sort something out for you. But I think 3 to 4 days would probably be the maximum period of time between laundry trips.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll go through a couple more questions before wrapping it up today. Could you talk about the normal pace of the day? What is the average wake up time and nighttime for this long trip?
I hope this person hasn't booked a trip and is freaking out. it's it's a it is a busy trip. I'm not going to lie. The way I've seen the trip work, and as an expedition leader, the way I've modified things for the trips is far north Queensland's pretty busy. Generally, we would be starting around, and again, this fluctuates, different time of year and different weather, roughly 7 o'clock in the morning, and we get back to our rooms probably around about 4:30, 5 o'clock. Then we would have dinner and then obviously either a night activity or rest. If we have a night activity, we will make sure that you have a little bit of a later start the next morning. We're not going to run you ragged. Far North Queensland is busy. Lady Elliot Island, you can set your own pace. Remember, everything is optional on Lady Elliot Island. So we have a busy period and then we have a bit more of a relaxed period, if you like. When we go to Tasmania, it's busy again. When we go to the Flinders Ranges, a little bit more relaxed. When we get to Kangaroo Island, it's busy. So it's busy, quiet, busy, quiet, busy. And we've designed it that way to make sure that everyone can stay refreshed, relaxed, and rejuvenated. When we're in Tasmania as well, we do have that additional day in Cradle Mountain where people can have a bit more of a sleep in, or maybe they can just choose to have a day at the accommodation and relax. We're very fortunate with Cradle Mountain Lodge. The wildlife is even just everywhere around our rooms. So you don't even need to leave our accommodation if you don't want to. So it's completely up to you at the pace that you want to set. But generally speaking, most days would be a 7 to 8 o'clock start and a five-ish finish in the afternoon. There's some days, particularly in the Flinders Ranges, where we might get up even earlier, maybe 5 o'clock one day, just to capture this gorgeous sunrise. But then we'll have downtime throughout the day for you to rest and recoup. It is busy, but we do obviously look after the needs of our guests and make sure they're refreshed and relaxed where we can.
Fantastic. And the last question I will ask today, so this is a pretty long trip. I understand why this one is asked. How is the internet connection? Can people connect back home in the evenings, or is it pretty remote and offline?
So you can get a SIM card. Some people use eSIMs, which is like a change of SIM card in your phone, but digitally. You don't have to actually take the SIM card out. And that way you can hook up into the different networks that are available in Australia, or if you're purely relying on Wi-Fi. So in far north Queensland, in the Daintree rainforest, there is very limited internet. Generally, that is in our dining area, our communal area. Uh, in the Atherton Tablelands, it is in all of our rooms. In Brisbane, it's in the hotel. On Lady Elliot Island, it is only in the communal area, not in your rooms. Even if you have phone signal, like even your expedition leaders, we don't have phone reception in our rooms. It's only in the common area. In Tasmania, at Mount Field Retreat, there is Wi-Fi available. We'll go to Cradle Mountain, there is Wi-Fi in the common area. When we go to the Flinders Ranges, there is Wi-Fi available, I believe, in the dining room. I can't remember if it's in the rooms or not because the expedition leaders stay in a different style room. But there's Wi-Fi certainly available at Flinders Ranges. It may just be in the dining area or in your rooms perhaps. And in Kangaroo Island, there's Wi-Fi in all of our rooms and our dining area. So there's Wi-Fi in really all the places that we stay. But if you don't have a change of SIM card and you need to contact your family, have a talk to your expedition leader. They can always do a thing called a hotspot, which is when you can actually use some of the internet from the expedition leader for an emergency or maybe reaching out for something pertinent that's happening back home.
Fantastic. That was a great, you answered so many questions for all of us and everyone. I know I did not get to everybody's questions. So if you do have any further ones and you are booked on a trip, please email concierge@nathab.com. And one of our amazing concierge team members will be more than happy to help you on your specific trip that you are booked. With that, Matt, I would love to turn it to you for any last closing comments.
Thank you very much, Brooke. And thank you very much, guys, for getting through that marathon. It is a big trip. It's a fantastic experience, but it truly is, as the name suggests, the ultimate way of exploring the land down under. The expedition team and I, we are super excited for the new Ultimate Australia Experience season to start up. I've been talking to them daily, and we are all raring to go. Super excited to meet you all and give you the experience of a lifetime in the great southern land. Thank you very much for viewing today, guys, and I hope to see you sometime soon.
Yes, thank you so much for taking the time to present for us today, Matt. And I would like to thank everybody who tuned in. If you're interested in joining this trip, Please give us a call at 800-543-8917 or send us an email at info@nathab.com. Our adventure specialists are more than happy to help you. Join us Monday for our next daily dose of nature. You can check out next week's lineup, including registration links on our website at nathab.com/webinars, and keep an eye out for our Sunday e-news announcement. We did record today's presentation, and the replay will be available on our website soon. With that, I will conclude the webinar. Goodbye, everybody.